Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, my name's Rebecca and I hope you're all doing well. So before we start, if you could just do me a huge favour and press that like button. Don't know if it's there or there. Yeah, just press the like button. It just helps to push my videos to like a wider audience. I just thought I'd do a sit down video today, and I just wanted to talk about like my two different labour experiences. 6 years ago with my eldest son. If you live like in London, the UK, whatever, we have like midwife appointments and stuff, and like you plan your labour experience and stuff and what you want. And I feel like most people will always kind of go for like the water birth. Like I think they said it to us like it's like calming and stuff. I don't know if anyone's ever had like a labour like a water birth, like please let me know what your experience was with it. But I remember when I was pregnant, I watched like One Born Every Minute, literally every day. I think I did that with my second pregnancy as well. Like, I think I was like 37 weeks and a bit or something like that. One evening, I think I must have been sleeping, and then I randomly woke up, and then when I like went to get up, a bit of my bed was wet. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, like has my waters broken? Or have I wet the bed? Like obviously I don't wet the bed, but like it was just weird for like there to be water on the bed. So the first thing I thought, obviously, like I'm like 37 weeks, I'm able to basically like have my baby at this point. So I just thought, yeah, maybe my waters were broken, but it wasn't a lot of water. And you know, like in the movies, they make it seem like when your waters break, it's like some big like splash of water and stuff. So like I just thought, okay, I don't know if this is normal or not. So I phoned the hospital and I explained to them what happened. They was like, yeah, just come in and we'll just check you. So I went in, and then when they checked me, they said to me that my backwaters had actually broken. So I didn't even know about backwaters up until that point. Basically, there's like a risk of infection to your baby after about 24 hours. Because I guess that's like I don't know if it's like the sac or something, but it's something that basically protects like some part of the baby and stuff. They were basically like, you need to stay and we're gonna like induce you and you're gonna have your baby. So I wasn't prepared at all. I didn't have my hospital bag, I didn't have anything. So anyway, I remember I phoned my mum, I phoned my boyfriend at the time, and I was just like, look, they're keeping me in the hospital, like we're gonna have this baby. So I remember like they had to bring all my stuff for me, and I was literally in a hospital for 3 days. Like they registered me into the hospital, and basically they explained to me that they were gonna start the induction process. They inserted like a tablet inside me, and it was basically to like kickstart the labour process, and it kind of gives you like contractions, basically encourages you to have contractions. It wasn't too painful at the beginning. It started off and stuff, and like they had to like check me like every couple hours and stuff to make sure if I was dilating. I think they checked me and I was like 1 centimetre, then they checked me again, I was like 2 centimetres, then I went back down to 1 centimetre. There wasn't really any progress, and I think on day 2 they came and spoke to me and they said, look, there's not really any progress in your labour, so we think that we should try like a stronger drug to kickstart the labour. So I was like, fine, okay. So then they moved me to a different room, and then when they moved me to this room, they started like a drip, and this was a lot more intense. Like literally as soon as they started it, I think within half an hour I was having like fake contractions. It was so painful. They was checking me and there was still no progress. I was still only 1 centimetre. They came to speak to me and they said, look, like because these contractions are so intense, it's putting your baby in distress. So like every time you have a contraction, it's making his heart rate lower, and obviously that's quite dangerous for a long period of time. So they said the best thing for us to do is to have is to give you a cesarean section. And obviously like that is from when I found out I was pregnant, that's the one thing I did not want. I remember when they first told me, I refused. I was like, no, I'm not having a cesarean. They literally had to convince me, and then in the end they was like, oh look, at the end of the day you're going to put your child's life at risk. So I was just like, okay, fine. And I remember as soon as I like signed the paper, I was just like, please don't give me a horrible scar. I remember like they put like some sheet over me, and then I think I was like lying down, and I had to choose like one person to go with. They said to me I had to like stay really still, because they had to put like an injection in my back. And I remember like the anaesthetist was getting so annoyed with me. I'm still having contractions continuously, and basically for the anaesthetist to put in the injection to numb me, I have to be so still. And the thing is, you have to be really still, because I think if you move, like, it can cause issues with like your back. It could even, like, I think worst case scenario, it could paralyze you. So I had to be really still, but at the same time I was having contractions. I remember him getting so like angry with me, and I just got so annoyed, because I was just like, what is your problem? Like, obviously you can see I'm having contractions. How do you expect me to stay still? And then after he did that, they were asking me obviously if I could feel this, feel that, etc. And then they started. But like, one thing I remember is when they were cutting me open, I could feel the tugging, and it felt so uncomfortable. Like, I felt like they were yanking something out of me. Well, they obviously were, but it just, I didn't think I'd feel anything, but I could feel the pressure. I don't know, anyone else that's had the cesarean section, like, let me know if you felt the same way. I think it's all the drugs they gave me. I felt like I was gonna die. Like, I felt like I felt so sleepy, like I was gonna like fall asleep. And I remember I kept like pushing myself to stay awake, because I was thinking, no, like, I cannot die. Like, I need to stay alive to meet my child. But like, yeah, I think it was obviously all just the drugs making me drowsy. But so they ended up cutting me open. They brought him out, and then yeah, I saw him, and that was it. Because I think after the first day, one of the doctors just casually came to me and said, oh, there's an infection in your blood. And that's exactly how she said it, like like it was something normal. And I was just like, okay, so what's gonna happen? Are you gonna treat it, or like what? And then she was just like, oh yeah, we can give you some antibiotics, but if you want, you can go home. And I was just like, what do you mean if you want, you can go home? And obviously this was like my first pregnancy, and like, an infection in your blood sounds so serious. Obviously it's serious, but like, obviously to me, I probably thought I was gonna die or something. So I was just like, what do you mean I can go home? I've got an infection in my blood and I can just go home. The midwives, bless them, they were lovely. Most of them were like African, so like either Nigerian or Ghanaian, and they knew that I was Nigerian, and they knew that my son was like half Ghanaian. So I think that they warmed to me because of that. So they treated me quite well, which was nice. There was times that like I was like in the bed and I could hear them watching like Nollywood films and stuff from like the desk in the front, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? This is so unprofessional. But apart from that, they were quite nice. When I called them with my call bell, they would come, etc. But I do feel like it was quite unorganized in terms of like the care and stuff. Like, I wasn't really told what was going on. I was with Jamal, and I was with his dad, and we were sleeping, and I think I'd fed him, I put him to sleep, and this was like the first night after I just got back, and literally I didn't take no painkillers. So I must have gone to lie down, then he must have woke up, because you know they wake up every few hours and stuff. And then like literally I was lying down, and I must have gone to like get up like this, and the pain that I felt, oh my gosh, I thought someone was ripping like my insides out. It was so painful, obviously like my scar area, and it's because I didn't take any painkillers, and it was so much pain. I don't even know if I cried, but like I was so upset because I felt like I couldn't do anything. My dad was just sleeping next to me, and he was just crying, and I couldn't move, and I was just like, what the hell was going on? Anyway, from after that day, I started taking my painkillers, because trust me, that's one thing you need to make sure you do. Take all the painkillers you can, because the pain is not a joke. Feed your new baby, like look after your new baby and all of that. You don't want to be in pain and stuff while you're also doing that, you know what I mean? We had the naming ceremony 7 days after. So that's like something that Nigerian people do after you have a baby, 7 days, like you name the baby and stuff. The next day now, I randomly woke up after the naming ceremony. I was in so much pain and I couldn't move. Jamel was crying and I couldn't move. I just couldn't move to get him. Like, it wasn't like the first night. This time I literally was just still on the bed. I couldn't move. And I remember I was screaming like for my mum. I was like, mum, please come. Like, can you please carry the baby? I can't move. So she came in the room, she carried him, and she was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know, I can't move. So then they called the ambulance, and I remember when the ambulance came, I literally just started crying so much. But I feel like it might have been like baby blues, because now when I think about it, I don't know, like, why was I crying? There was no need for me to cry. Like, when I explained to the paramedic what was happening with me, like how I felt, she said that you probably got an infection. So I went to the hospital, they took me to the hospital, and then when I went to the hospital, I think they did a urine test for me, and they found out that I had like a UTI. But just what I'm saying, like a lot of these things, like they didn't check these things before I left. Like, they just let me go. But I don't know, anyway, like, maybe this isn't like standard procedures, but I feel like maybe if these things are put in place, like, it would kind of avoid me having to get readmitted to hospital. They just couldn't give me anything. I remember I asked them for antibiotics, but they said to me that they could, I don't know what the reason was for why they couldn't give it to me, but they said they couldn't give me no antibiotics. So I was just like, John, yeah, I haven't got time for this. I literally just left the hospital. I need to go and be with my child. I think the thing that I found the hardest in terms of the recovery was like laughing, coughing, anything like that, because it really just like put pressure on this area where my scar was. After I'd obviously, I think for the infection, I ended up just drinking loads of water, and I think another one of the community midwives recommended like cranberry juice, and then that cleared up quite quickly, because I didn't know how to breastfeed. They didn't show me, so because they didn't show me, a lot of milk built up in my breast, and then it caused what's the name of it, build up of milk, and then it goes really, really hard. I'm sure a lot of new mums have experienced this. Not even new mums, I think even when you're continuously breastfeeding, it can happen if you don't pump or if your child isn't drinking enough milk. I ended up recovering quite quickly. In terms of like snapping back, like I lost all the weight very quickly. I was very slim anyway, and throughout my pregnancy I like threw up every day. So because of that, I didn't keep any weight on me, so it was like I was just like stick with a belly bump. So as soon as I had him, literally I just went back to my original size. So yeah, that was pretty much my experience with like my first labor. So my second now, when I found out I was pregnant, and I was having like my midwife appointments, the first thing I said to them is like, look, because obviously I'd never, like, this was my second pregnancy, and all I had to go on was my first experience. So I wanted to find out whether I was able to have a normal delivery this time round. So then they explained to me like the Vbac, and that's basically vaginal birth after C-section. And they basically said, look, like now that you've had a C-section, you're oh yeah, another thing that I forgot to mention, because they were inducing me with my first birth, so now for my second pregnancy, I was not going to be allowed to have a water birth. I was allowed to have a VBAC, but I would have to be monitored quite a lot, because now I was seen as high risk. The reason why I'm seen as high risk is because even though apparently you can have a C-section up to 10 years ago or whatever, your scar could still rupture, and that means that it can basically like open up if you have another baby. Because of that, obviously it's very dangerous apparently for the child when you're, and I guess obviously for you, and also you cannot have a home birth as well, because obviously if anything goes wrong, you need to be in hospital where they will be able to do anything in case of emergency. Right, I remember the whole of my pregnancy, like I just kept researching like ways to like obviously encourage natural births, because remember the first time round I never got to experience going into labor naturally by myself. And I remember at this time as well, I was like working, I was a nursing student, it was just crazy. I was on placement, and I was heavy. I was like 37 weeks by now, and I must have gone to the toilet. I felt like sharp pain, and then I must have gone to wipe, and I saw like blood. So obviously I was thinking, oh my gosh, what's that? So I remember I messaged my friend, because I always used to message my friend first before I'd say like contact the hospital, because she's a midwife, so I feel like, yeah, she just knows everything anyway. So I messaged her, and she was like, oh, that's probably like the bloody show. And for anyone that doesn't know, bloody show is basically like kind of some of the symptoms you start to experience like before you start to go into the labor process. So I was like, yes, this means my body is going naturally into labor by itself. So I went to go and see a doctor one time for a midwife appointment. Basically, they gave me a sweet, and they was like, look, you're 38 weeks now, we're going to give you a sweet to encourage some type of like the labor process to kind of hurry up. So I was like, fine. So I had the sweet, and then after I had the sweet, still didn't really see anything. And before this, I downloaded the app on my phone, like to track like contractions, because I was just like, when it comes to the day, I want to be able to track it and stuff. So I remember like I just kept feeling like a twinge in my stomach. It felt like period pain, like I just felt uncomfortable. So then something told me like, I'll just track like how often you're having like these weird feelings. 15 to 20 minutes, I was feeling like kind of cramps and stuff in my stomach. Jamel's dad came home, and then like, it was like time had gone, it was about 9 o'clock. And I must have gone to the toilet, and I must have gone to wipe, and like this bloody show that I kept having had turned from like pink to a bit more reddish in colour now. I didn't know at this point it was contractions, but I was just checking how often I was feeling these pains, and I think it had gone to about 10 minutes now. So I was like, could I be in labour? So the thing is, at this point, I was living in Essex, but like my hospital that I had signed up to give birth was like in Newham, in East London. So I'd stayed basically with the same hospital that I had the same time round. Sorry about that, guys, I got a parcel. I'm gonna make sure quickly on camera that it's the right thing, because I know recently there's been like issues with like the company Every and their parcels. Apparently they've been like nicking people's parcels. Okay, yeah, the right one. Ooh, they look a bit big. I got these. I've got like an obsession for like Jordan ones. Back to the story. So, I thought, oh my gosh, okay, cool. My mum still lived in Newham, and I just thought, okay, do you know what, let me make my way to my mum's, so that if anything happens, at least I'm closer to the hospital. So it was about 11 o'clock, and I just decided to put my clothes on. I remember I told Jamel's dad, I was like, I'm getting ready. I don't think he even understood what I was saying, because he was like half asleep. But like did I take a few things with me? I think this time I packed like a little bag. I remember I left and I got into an Uber. And I remember, if you saw the look that Uber man gave me, because the noise that I was making, because at this point I still didn't realise I was in labour. So I was making, you know, all the the noises, like the moans and the groans and stuff. And he just looked at me like, because obviously you could see that I was heavily pregnant. And he looked at me like, if you give birth in my taxi, like, boy. But anyway, I remember I made it to my mum's house. Then when I got to my mum's house, I couldn't even walk up the stairs. I was in so much pain. I said, no, mum, I'm going to the hospital. So she got her stuff as well, and then we ended up getting a cab to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, the midwife, now again, another Nigerian midwife, knew my mum. So then they started speaking and stuff, and like I could barely even walk to like where I needed to be checked in. I was in so much agony. And I think by this point I knew, I was like, okay, I think I'm in labour. So like I got to the bit now where they check you in, and she was like, okay, cool, I can see you're in that pain, let me check you. Oh, let me tell you one thing. The one thing I don't like about being pregnant is when they check, you know, with their fingers. Like, so anyone that's never been pregnant before, basically they do this thing where they check you to see like how far you are, how far dilated you are. And it's just so uncomfortable. Most of the people I've spoken to who have been pregnant have said that they find that quite uncomfortable. The midwife checked me and she was like, you're 4 centimeters. I was like, literally, I remember I was in so much pain that like, I went from being in so much pain to literally smiling. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, because this confirmed to me that like, wow, I think when you're 4 centimeters, I think you're in active labor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, she said to me, you're in 4 centimeters, and I was like, wow, like I'm actually in labor. I've gone into labor myself. I was so happy, and that's the only thing I was praying for, like my whole pregnancy. Please, God, allow me to go into labor myself naturally, so that I can have a normal delivery. So anyway, she was like, yeah, I'm gonna check you in, you're gonna go up and you're gonna have this baby. So I was like, wow, yeah, like, I was so happy. They moved me to like the labour ward, and then when I went to labour ward, had like this little old like midwife, I think she was Irish or something, bless her. Like I kept trying to run away to like the bathroom all the time because I was just in so much pain. And by this time, like the bloody show, no one tells you, like it becomes more and more, like it just doesn't stop. And I really don't like even when I'm on my period, I feel uncomfortable just like bleeding on anything down there. So it was just so like slimy and uncomfortable. Sorry, I know it's too much information, but I just didn't like it. So I couldn't just like sit down in one place. And I remember I had to have them monitoring me and everything. They had to like monitor, you know, the monitor they give you and stuff, like. And then I think she did like, she put some other thing where like she put like it was like a little hook on top of the baby's head, so that I could move around freely, so I wouldn't have to be in a bed, like to kind of help my labour progress. So a lot of the times I would just get up off the bed and I would go into the bathroom and lock myself in there. When the morning stuff came in, they checked me, and I think by then I was like 6 centimeters, so I'd like progressed a bit. And then so yeah, she was just trying to find ways for me to like progress more. I remember she got the ball and I was sitting on the ball, and then like I would say I need to go to the toilet, because you feel like you need to poo, like, but it's not, it's just the pressure of the baby like pushing down on like your I feel like it pushes down on like your bum, I don't know, but it makes you feel like you need to go to the toilet. So I remember she kept like knocking on the door saying, you need to come out of the bathroom, you don't need to go to the toilet, it's your baby that's trying to come, etc. they got to a point where I was in so much pain. I was like, I'm in so much pain and I don't know why. And I was like, literally, I feel like something is pushing down, like feels like something like needs to come out. Obviously it was the baby, but I just felt so much pressure down here. And then I remember she went and got one of the midwives, and I remember it was like an African midwife, and she was like, oh, you seem like you're in a lot of pain. I think we might have to do another C-section. And I was so angry. I was like, no, I'm not gonna have another C-section. And she was quite cheeky, I remember, because every time I said, no, I'm not gonna have a C-section, she'd be like, well, yes, you are, if you're gonna need to. Like, she was just so, I don't know if that's unprofessional, but I was thinking like, girl, bye, like, please, I'm not having another C-section. Like, so anyway, she just kept saying that. Then I remember like loads of doctors came in and it was like, look, like, you're in a lot of pain. I think we need to check you again to see why. So they checked me and I was 10 centimeters. Can you imagine? That's why I was in so much pain, because basically the baby was ready to come. Then I remember they were talking to each other and I was thinking, what's going on? And then they basically said to me, look, like, your baby's heart rate is going down again. And I thought, no, not again. After they checked me as I was 10 centimeters, they was like, okay, the reason why you're in so much pain is because basically you're ready to push. So they was like, push. And obviously I'd never pushed before. So literally I was just there on the bed and I was just like trying to like push, like, and it's like they don't tell you how to do these things. But anyway, I was trying to, but nothing was happening. And it was like, nothing is happening, like he's not coming, and his heart rate is going low, so we need to find out why. So they was like, we need to take you to theatre. And they was like, look, we're going to try first an assisted delivery with forceps and help you, and if that doesn't work, we're going to have to cut you open. So I was like, Johnny, at this point I don't care, I'm in pain, please, I just need the pain to go. So they took me down to theatre. And then I remember they gave me the injection in my back to numb me or whatever. And then that was bliss. Literally, that was the like best thing about the whole labour process, because as soon as they do that, all your pain just goes away. You can't feel nothing. Which is why I understand why people get an epidural, because honestly, it's amazing. I remember they basically made me open my legs wide, and then after they had injected me, I didn't know, because I didn't see them, but someone has scissors in their hands and they basically cut you. Then when they cut you, they tell you to push. So as you're pushing, they put the forceps, which is like basically like massive, I guess, scissor kind of things, and they basically pull the baby's head out at the same time that you're pushing. So I remember I basically pushed twice and he was out. And then when they brought him out, then I remember the doctor said, oh, that was why. And I was like, oh, why? What was why? And they basically said the cord was around his neck and that's why his heart rate was going down. So basically it's like, he's even a miracle baby, because to be fair, if he had stayed in there any longer, he could have died. But yeah, so that was my second experience. So obviously I was happy to just not even be cut open again. So that was great. So they had to stitch me up because they cut me and stuff. I find like that was the most painful part of the recovery, because I couldn't sit properly, and because I couldn't sit properly and it was so uncomfortable, it made it hard for me to kind of breastfeed, because obviously you'd have to like sit, like they told me to lay on my side, but it just wasn't comfortable for me. So I didn't breastfeed for long. And then also I find that like the weight didn't go as quickly after delivery. I'm not sure if that's just normal with your second baby, but it didn't go as quickly. I think with Jamel's, after about, I'd say 7 days, my stomach was flat. With Joel's pregnancy, I'd say after having him, it took about 3 weeks, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks before my belly was flat. To anyone else that's listening, you probably think, what, 3 weeks? Like, that's quick compared to other people. But I'm just talking about myself, and in terms of like, obviously what's normal for my body. I think it's just because it was my second pregnancy or whatever, and I feel like I was a bit bigger this time around, and I didn't have as much morning sickness. I found like the recovery for like down there in terms of the stitches and stuff like so hard. Like I remember someone said to me, oh, use Dettol and water to like help speed up like the healing process for down there. They don't tell you clearly though. This was a midwife as well, by the way. Imagine I went and doused myself down there with like Dettol and water on the wound, mate. The pain that I felt when the midwife came to see me, she said, why are you in so much pain and why does it look so much more sore down there? So I said to her, a midwife said to me to put Dettol and water down there to help speed up the recovery. She said, oh my gosh, you put it on the wound. I said, yeah. She said, you're not supposed to do that. You can get infected. Basically, what I was supposed to do was put Dettol and hot water in in a bucket, and basically crouch on top of it and let the steam go up. into, honestly. Anyway, so that was obviously a lot, and I had to wait for that to then heal up properly. I feel like I had quite a lot of baby blues, maybe because now I had like a toddler. So Jamel was 2 at the time, and then obviously I had a newborn, so it was quite overwhelming because you have like 2 really young children. After about 4 weeks of me having him, I moved back to my mum's house. So that was a lot. So I was dealing with like so many different things. So I feel like the recovery process, like I didn't even, and then after about, I think 6 weeks, I was back working and studying full time. So yeah, it was quite hard to obviously deal with all of that in one. But when I think about both processes, if I was to go back and choose any, I'll choose none. It's crazy because now that I think about it, I feel like maybe because I had an assisted delivery, so I didn't like technically give birth naturally because it was still assisted even though he came out of my vagina. So maybe if I had a vaginal delivery without assistance and I didn't get cut, maybe I would have a better experience. But if I was to choose again, I feel like I might choose the C-section, because that pain of not being able to sit down, the stitching, it's just a lot. Even in terms of like going to the toilet and stuff like that, it's just so sore. So yeah, like I feel like maybe I would choose a C-section again if I was to ever go down the route of having another baby. I just wanted to share my experience with you guys, because I feel like when I was researching for like when I had my second pregnancy about Vbacs and stuff, I didn't really see a lot. Obviously I saw like the whole technical videos and stuff on YouTube and like the professionals talking about Vbacs and stuff, but I never really saw anyone like me, anyone that had a C-section before, then was having a Vbac. And when I say anyone like me, like a young black woman, whatever, like I didn't see anyone, and that's the kind of stuff I want to see, to be fair. So I just thought like it'd be really important to make this video, because like obviously there's so many people I'm sure that are in my position. And one thing I remember is that like I feel like the health professionals that I saw, they weren't very encouraging. Like they weren't trying to really encourage me to have it. Like, and I understand there's so much risk and stuff, but like I feel like you just need to listen to the mum sometimes. Like obviously it just kind of made me feel like they just wanted me to have another C-section just so I could get over and done with. They really wasn't listening to what I wanted. That's my experience of both my labour, my labours and my recovery processes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions, if you have any questions that you want to ask me in regards to anything I might have missed out about the labour and delivery process, please leave a message in the comments below. I'm going to do a part 2, and I'm going to do it with my friend that's actually a midwife, so she'll be able to like speak about a lot more stuff. So guys, leave loads of questions and stuff down below so that she'll be able to answer all your questions for you. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.